Hello students, welcome to my class. See, today we will be doing our environment part 2. So the topics will be covered here, the food web, the trophic levels, transfer of energy in the food chain and the 10% law. So let us start with the food web. See, you can see this picture I will be just now showing you. So what is a food chain? The interconnected food chain operating in an ecosystem which establish a network of relationship between various species is called food web. बड़ा गड़बड़ वाला लग रहा है. So in a simple word we can say that a network of a large number of food chains. What is a food chain? We have already done. So existing in an ecosystem, or we know what is an ecosystem also, is called a food web. मतलब कौन किसको खा रहा है ये फूड चेन है, और यहाँ पर है कि कितने लोग कितने लोगों को खा रहा है. Okay, so that means that here we can find out that every food chain is starting with plant, as I said. So here we can see that plants are being eaten by rabbit and rabbit is being eaten by fox, but the fox at the same time is eating squirrels also, mice also, so seed eating birds also. And then another we can see that plant, mice and the hawks and the owls. Okay, so this interconnected food chains are known as food webs which exist in the ecosystem. Now we will be knowing about the trophic levels. What is a trophic level? See, the various steps in a food chain at which the transfer of food, or we can say energy, takes place are called trophic levels. So what is, in simple words, the trophic level means the feeding level of the organisms. Okay, so each trophic level in a food chain, each step is called the trophic level. Each step forms the trophic level. By this pyramid, we can clarify. The plants are the producers. They always constitute the first trophic level. Then comes the herbivorous, which feed upon the plants, and then comes the carnivorous that feed upon herbivorous, and then comes the large carnivorous or the top carnivorous which feed upon the small carnivorous as well as the plants. Okay, so this is all about the trophic level. So in every trophic level, the food and energy is transferred to the other trophic level. The trophic levels in a food chain can also be represented by the pyramids that we have seen. Now, why we are studying about this trophic level? Because the existence of this trophic level is very important to function an ecosystem. The shortening of food chains due to human activities like hunting, this leads to an imbalance in the functioning of the ecosystem and ultimately in the functioning of the whole biosphere. So what happens if one trophic level is removed? I will just discuss that. Suppose if all the lions are removed, we can say that that's the most unimportant thing, the lions, it could be removed. But what will happen? Let's discuss. See, now if all the lions in a forest are removed, then there will be no predator control over the population of deer. So that will lead to excessive grazing of grass. The density of producers will be very much reduced. So what is producer here? The plants or grass or the green, the vegetation, and what will happen? And it will turn the lush green forest into desert area, having no vegetation at all. So here is a question, my dear students, I am keeping for you all. Give me the answer in the comments box, that how Sahara desert was formed, which is very interesting. Find out. It may be in your chapter in your school books, NCERT books or other books. You have to just find out and let me know how Sahara desert was formed. Now let's see what will happen if all the deers are removed. अरे deers लोग सब घास खा ले रहे थे, चलो इसको ही remove कर देते हैं. Okay, now let's see what will happen if all the deers are removed. There will be no sufficient food for the lions. So some will die because of starvation, and some hungry lions of the forest can come out of the forest in search of food and may even kill domestic animals or human beings for obtaining food. If the lion and deer are operating in one other food chain of the food web, the removal of deer population and the subsequent reduction in lion population will disturb the balance in the ecosystem. So we cannot remove any of them. Now let's see what will happen if all the producers are removed. It's very easy. All of my students knows what will happen. If all the producers like grass and other plants are removed, then no deer, no lion, nothing will be existing. Okay, this is because the food and energy necessary for sustaining life is all derived from the producer organisms like grass, plants and their products. Okay, this is very easy to understand. So from the above example, we conclude that if we kill any organism of any trophic level, it will cause too much of damage to the environment and it will disbalance the ecosystem. Now let's discuss something very interesting, that is transfer of energy in food chain. You see, all the organisms, plants and animals depend on the sun for their constant need of energy. This food chain actually represent this transfer of food and the energy stepwise transfer. Actually, we will say stepwise transfer. So how this happens, we will be knowing. The food and energy enter the living organisms of the ecosystem through the process of photosynthesis, because this photosynthesis is a process which combines the substances like carbon dioxide, water, sunlight energy. We all know that to form food like carbohydrates, and converts light energy of the sun into chemical energy. Now you can see this diagram. This is a lovely diagram. I'll let you know the first step of it. The first step of it, see, on an average about 1% of the sun's energy falling on the leaves is used by the plants in the process of photosynthesis and stored as chemical energy of food. Plants use this energy for their metabolic activities like respiration and growth. Some of the energy is, however, not utilized and it is released as unusable heat into, you can see this, community environment. There's a box over there, community environment, and it is stored as the community heat. Okay, now what happens to the next portion? Next portion, this herbivores. Plants are eaten by herbivores. The chemical energy stored in plant is now transferred with the food to herbivores. Now again, herbivores utilize this energy for their various metabolic activities like respiration and growth, and some of the energy is, however, unutilized, which is again returned back to the community as community heat. This same process keeps on going in the third and fourth step also. Now here, by this discussion, we should remember this following points about the transfer of energy in the ecosystem. Number one is energy is not created in the ecosystem. We all know energy is only converted from one form to the another. Now see, for example, we saw that light energy coming from the sun is converted into chemical energy of food like carbohydrates by the process of photosynthesis. So we can say that photosynthesis converts light energy into chemical energy. And point number two is there is a continuous transfer of energy from one trophic level of organism to the next trophic level in the food chain. And the third point that we have to remember, that each trophic level some energy is utilized for their metabolic activities. Okay, and the fourth portion that we have to remember is that a part of energy in each trophic level is utilized for the functioning of decomposers. Have you seen this diagram? See, it is going, some going for the community heat and some coming back. See the arrows coming back or going down to the decomposers. So when a plant or any organism in the trophic level dies, decomposer starts functioning on that organism. And the fifth point that we have to remember, that there is a loss of energy at each energy transfer in various trophic levels of organisms, which goes into the environment and remains unutilized as the community heat. Okay, now thus when we move from the first trophic level of producers or plants to the second trophic level of herbivores and third trophic level and so on, the amount of energy available gradually decreases. So now we will be talking about the 10% law. But before going to the 10% law, let me just discuss one more thing, that flow of material in the ecosystem is in a cyclic order, but flow of energy is unidirectional. What is that, you may be wondering. So let me just discuss this or explain this, that the same material are used again and again. The materials are not lost from the environment. So the flow of material like say water, carbon, nitrogen, we have done this in our class 9, the cycles. Okay, biogeological cycles. So in this ecosystem, they are said to be cyclic. So this is not so in the case of energy. What happens? The flow of energy in the ecosystem is unidirectional. As I said that deer को लगा नहीं, plant खा लिया मैंने, बहुत बुरा किया, चलो plant घास को वापस कर देते हैं. It will not happen because the flow of energy in ecosystem is unidirectional, because the energy lost as heat from the living organism of a food chain cannot be reused by plants in photosynthesis. They will be stored as community heat only. So let us come to the 10% law now. So what happens? According to the 10% law, first of all, who said about this 10% law? There is a scientist, Raymond Lindemann, who said about this 10% law. Who said, or according to the 10% law of Lindemann, only 10% of the energy entering a particular trophic level of organism is available for transfer to the next higher trophic level. The producers capture 1% of energy from the environment and convert it into food energy. Means what exactly the producers capture 1%? This energy comes from the solar energy, from the sun, and some heat from the atmosphere. When these green plants are eaten by primary consumers or the herbivores, energy is lost as heat in the environment. Energy required in digestion, in doing work, in growth, in reproduction. We know all this. So just 10% of the food eaten by primary consumers can be used by secondary consumers. Similarly, 10% of food eaten by secondary consumers can be used by tertiary consumers. Since what happens, so less energy is available for the next level of consumers, the food chain consists only of 3 or 4 steps. This is a very important question. Sometimes it comes that why food chains are not very long? Because energy is lost at every level. Too much of energy is lost because only 10%, if you eat 100% or if you consume 100% of energy, your next level will be getting only 10% out of that, and the other next level will be getting only 10% of that 10%. Get my point? So the greatest number of organisms is at the lowest level, and the number of organisms decreases after each level. Now, why so much energy is lost when going from one trophic level to the another? There must be a question. The reason for inefficient energy transfer is in each trophic level, a lot of energy is lost due to heat. The next point is not all the organisms in a trophic level get eaten by a higher trophic level. Instead, they may die without being eaten because कोई तो मरता है, हर कोई किसी के खाने से थोड़ी ना मरता है, अपने आप भी तो कोई मर जाता है ना. So what happens? The energy is not flown, only 10% energy is flown, that energy is totally wasted. Thus, to summarize, we can say that flow of energy is unidirectional. Energy from the sun is converted into food from autotrophs, but it cannot be converted back into energy from the sun again. So एक बार जब एनर्जी सन से हमने ले लिया है, अब जरूरत नहीं है मेरे को चलो सन को फिर वापस कर दो. It's not possible. This we have already discussed about this. So let's go to our next point. And energy decreases by 10% in each level. So if producers have 2000 energy, primary consumers will have 200, secondary consumers will have 20, and the next tertiary consumers will have only 2. Okay, so this is why how the small numericals do come. Okay, now let us talk about biological magnification. What is biological magnification? This is also very important, very interesting also. The increase in concentration of harmful and toxic substances higher in the food chain due to the presence of these substances in the lower levels is called biological magnification. When producers, I'll just make it clear, when producers make crops, we put pesticides and other chemicals in the soil to protect our crops from diseases and pests. These chemicals are washed down in the soil and water bodies. From the soil, plants absorb these chemicals, and from the water bodies these chemicals are absorbed by aquatic plants and animals. Since these chemicals are not biodegradable, so they get accumulated in each trophic level, so they are never destroyed. So this poisonous thing or these toxic substances keep on accumulating in each trophic level, and since human beings occupy the top of the food chain, the maximum concentration of this gets accumulated in our body or in the tertiary level, we can say. This phenomena is called biological magnification. So students, that's all for today. So here I want to end the class with a question that I have given a food chain. You have to tell me who is having the maximum concentration of toxic chemicals in their body. Answer me in my comment box.